Hey everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to dig a little bit deeper in the topic of the story behind the proposal. So many people have asked me, how did I propose to my fiance? And we all kind of know that story. I've gone over it several times, but the story behind the proposal to me was more interesting than a proposal, because the story behind it kind of showed the journey that it took for me to get there. First of all, I want to tell you about the noise in the background. That's rain. I do my best work in the rain. I also concentrate best in the rain. It's my favorite type of weather throughout the year. I love wintry weather. I love like wet weather and fireplaces and things like that. So that's just a really soothing type of situation for me. So that's why I love the sounds of rain. So I'm using that in the background trying to do this video. So that's what you're hearing back there. Now, as far as the proposal, number one, I had to get my heart ready and prepared to be someone who wanted to be married way before I met my fiance. Meaning that, I had to say, okay, Dante, you want to be married. You want to have a family. This was not an easy process for me. Going through the ups and downs of life and going through all the things that I had gone through, like many of us have, I found myself in my early 40s saying, man, the window for, starting a family and having this whole White House picket fence and all of that other good stuff was kind of winding down. Even though I'm not old, but you do figure that your earning years are 20 plus years away. Your child producing years may be long, but you also want to be healthy enough to be around to raise your children. And so I remember going to God at what I would call the Truck Stop Chronicles. And I call that because there were many years, almost like 2 years, where I went to God and I kept talking to him, just like I would talk to somebody over the phone or talk to somebody that I know in front of their face, and just kind of have that conversation with him that, hey, God, I don't know what you want me to do. I don't know what you need from me. I know I'm the type of man that deserves more, but for some reason I'm not getting more. And he was opening up doors everywhere, opening up doors in my career, opening up doors financially. But when it came to my love life, those doors not only were shut, they were almost like non-existent, to be honest. And to be honest, I put a lot of that on me because I wasn't really looking. I was at a point in my life where if you were to meet me this, 6 years ago, I was going to move to Vermont that bordered the country of Canada and live in a cabin with about 4 dogs, 6 Frisbees, and 3 wiffle balls. And I was going to live near a lake and just travel the world 3 times a year. I mean, that was pretty much who I was at that point, because I had gotten tired of, so much disappointment in my life, and I didn't trust anybody. And I remember having this conversation with my mom, who actually stopped me from moving to Vermont, which is actually going to be a whole nother story. Actually, I'll tell it now since it's all part of it. I was going to move to Vermont at this point in time. And I remember my mother saying, no, you can't go. And me being the guy I am, I'm grown, you can't stop me. My mother was like, you're not moving to Vermont. God's going to guide you through, and you're going to meet someone who deserves you. And I had to think about that, like, what exactly did that mean? Because we all kind of go through life saying, well, I deserve this, I deserve that. But we never think about who really deserves us. So I finally started putting value within myself, which is something I had never done before. Did I always think I was handsome? We talking about me. Did I always think I was a good person? We are talking about me. I'm one of the nicest guys I know. So I never had doubts or capabilities about myself, but I didn't put the value on it before. I was always like, okay, this is who I am. I don't understand why this is going on or that around me, but I never really valued myself to set a standard to be like, you know what, enough is enough. I'm not allowing this. I'm just not allowing that. And when I got to that point, I was walking through life with eyes open. So anytime I was approached by friends or family or even people I knew that felt like they were going to use me for anything, I put the wall up like, no, you're not going to use me for anything. Because then I value Dante more at that point. Valuing yourself is very different from knowing your worth, as people would say, quote unquote. Knowing your worth is something that somebody said on the internet and they repeated it, just like living your best life. That's not realistic. Valuing yourself is seeing the value of who you are. It's just like you see the value of a family. You see the value of your parents. You see the value of kids. You see the value of what a job means to you. It's now blocking all that out and saying, okay, what is my value to me? Am I worth that person that's going to continuously compromise his or herself for the benefit of others. I was tested on that plenty of times. I remember meeting people, just in general because I wasn't dating, but meeting people who, when I told them I'm not going to be intimate until I'm married, they turned away like, what? I mean, are you for real? Seriously? I mean, I got all of those comments like, do you got some sort of disease or why you don't want to get with me? Or is it me? Or do you not like these booms? I'm like, it had nothing to do with that. You know what I mean? And granted, don't get me wrong. I mean, you know, I guess the average guy would act on that physical attraction, but where I was in my life, that wasn't what I was looking for. I was looking for that type of love that I had never experienced, that needle in a haystack love where a girl appreciated me. Now, before God brought her into my life, I prayed hard. I mean, I prayed for years. And God made me work for it. It wasn't no easy task. It wasn't like, I'm going to give you this woman. I'm going to make sure you're ready before I give you this woman. And it wasn't just about being, you know, a guy who never cheats, because I've never been a guy who cheated. I was never a guy who took advantage of anybody or did anybody dirty. It was just the fact that we were talking about marriage at an age where it was very different. You know, you're in your 40s, you're talking about asking God to bless you with a wife and a child and a home and all these things at the age of 40-something, which most people at that age are kind of like not looking for that. You know, and I was like, look, you know, God, what do you want me to do? And he made me work. You know, he would put people in my life as friends, but not anything romantic. He made sure that I couldn't go no further than that. I mean, literally, that's how it was. And so I kind of felt like, okay, well, God's up to something. He's not telling me. He's not texting me. He ain't even called me, man, to let me know what he was up to. But I knew he was up to something because I would have these conversations with him. So one day I'm on this path, this walking path. I used to hike quite a bit after church on Sundays. And I'm hiking, and I see this woman next to me. Now, literally, the woman's not there. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I keep feeling like this woman's next to me. This woman, I couldn't see her face, I couldn't see her body, but I sensed her there. And I kept looking on the side like, okay, there's nobody there. Like, you sure? And and this person was there. So she was pregnant, man. And I'm like, I don't have nobody pregnant. I haven't even been doing anything. Like, it wasn't me. I wasn't there. I'm just an innocent lamb, you know, bad. It wasn't me. But that was a vision that I saw a couple of times while walking this path. And I just said, God is sending me a message. I'm just not clear on what it is. So some years later, I ended up meeting the love of my life, and it changed everything for me. It changed my perspective. She brought out things in me that I didn't know were there. I always knew I had the heart to love. I always knew that I could love. But when you don't have somebody that values you, and when you don't value yourself, you don't open up the way that you know you can. And I had all this in me, being a gentleman, being raised from birth, learning, you know, things I've always done, opening up doors and being the gentleman and being the nice guy. These are qualities that are great to have, but you had so many people that came in and out of my life, as many men and women do, that take advantage of you because you have those qualities. But then I met somebody who appreciated those qualities. And that just changed everything, like the direction of this hat. Ka-ching, you know what I'm saying? It was like I had met somebody that looked at me and was like, okay, he loves me, but you know what? I love him too. And it wasn't no joke. It wasn't like fake love. It wasn't like sex love. It wasn't lust. It wasn't infatuation. It was like, wow, this person did things for me that no one else had ever had. And it was almost like I had met my other half. Like, you know, I was this piece and this person was this piece. And it came together like a puzzle. The strange part about it is you hear about stories like that. You read about stories like that. You see movies like that on the Hallmark Channel, but you never really think you're going to experience it. But it was like we both wanted the exact same things, and we were very close in age, and this is how this all came about. So before I even met her, I had to have that talk with God, like, am I ready to propose to this woman? I was scared. I mean, you know, not even before I met her, I was like, am I ready to propose to a woman? Am I ready to propose to someone? Am I ready to get down on one knee and ask someone to spend the rest of their life with me at the age of 40-something? It's a scary thought because I knew where I wanted to be financially. My biggest fear is I was going to have somebody in my life that was going to derail me from that. I knew where I wanted to be as far as like home ownership. I didn't want somebody in my life that was going to derail me from that. I had been through a lot, like many other people, by the age of 40 something. So I was very afraid of allowing someone in that was going to play me. Because I tell people all the time, the game hasn't changed. The players just got older. That's all that really happened. So I started seeing people from my past, people that knew me 20 plus years ago, coming up at me like, hey, Dante, I mean, how you doing? I've been thinking about you lately. And I'm like, yeah, you haven't thought about me in 20 years, and all of a sudden you landed on hard times and I'm like your best friend or something. No, I'm not interested. I'm just not. And you'd be surprised at how many people were doing that. It was like they got hit upside the head with a bar of soap and fell on a Snicker bar and realized, you know what? I was stupid to diss him and now I want him back. No, no, you're not getting Dante back. Dante doesn't go backwards. So living this single life at the time and just navigating through friends and pen paling to find out about Europe and all these different things I was doing, God had already carved out this person for me, man. Like, and I will say this was something that hit me like a ton of bricks. So I remember having this conversation with my mom, and I said, you know, Mom, I really want to get married. I really want to have a family. And she looked at me and couldn't believe what she said, and we'll continue in the next video.